Katie from the Faulkner County Library, and today we are here with Taste Test Kitchen at Home. We are going to be making these cake batter blondies from Like Mother, Like Daughter. You can look at the link in the description for a detailed recipe, but to go ahead and start, we're going to talk about what you need for this recipe. This might be one of the easiest recipes that we have done. You do not need a whole lot of ingredients. You are going to want white chocolate chips, milk chocolate chips, some oil. I'm using canola oil, milk, and remember that we want to make sure that our milk has been refrigerated and that it is not expired. You're going to want some rainbow sprinkles and a yellow cake mix, and then 1 egg. To make the blondies, we're also going to want a mixing bowl and some kind of spoon or spatula. And then our recipe says to use a cake pan or a baking dish. We're actually going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to use these individual these mini loaf pans. And so this is going to affect my cooking time in the video. So if you want to use a mini loaf pan like this, you can kind of see what I do. If you want to go by what the recipe says, that is a-okay as well. So gather your ingredients, wash your hands, clean your surface, and let's get started. So now that you have all of your ingredients gathered, your materials gathered, we are ready to get started. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to start preheating the oven to 350 degrees. And our recipe says that these are super simple to make and will only take about 5 minutes. So that's why we're going to go ahead and get that oven preheating. And it's not a competition, so if you don't get everything ready in 5 minutes, everything will be a-okay. But we are going to go ahead and start following our recipe. But before we do, what is a blondie? So we've made brownies before, and last week we made cookies. So a blondie is kind of in between the two. It's a little bit like a brownie consistency, but the taste is going to be less chocolatey than a brownie and more cookie-like. So after you make the blondies today, you can decide if you like brownies or cookies or blondies best, or if they're all three, just great. So in a large mixing bowl, combine your cake mix, egg, oil, and milk. So we're going to take our cake mix. And we know from the baking that we have done that this is going to have some flour in it. It's going to have some sugar. It's going to be a mixture of some of the stuff that we have made when we baked from scratch. So we're just going to pour it all into our mixing bowl. My bag opened a little oddly, which is why I'm pouring it from the side rather than from the top or the bottom. Okay. So we've got most of our cake mix in the mixing bowl. We're going to add our egg, oil, and milk. So we have 1 egg. We're just going to pour right in there. And then we need 1/4 cup of oil and 1/3 cup milk. So here's our 1/4 cup. Here's our canola oil. We've got the 1/3 cup for milk. So we're going to go ahead and mix that. It's pretty thick. Make sure everything is incorporated. And if you're using a spatula to stir, remember you can kind of scrape down the edges to make sure that this mixture all gets added in. Okay, so I have stirred, I've mixed in those first ingredients, the cake mix with some of the liquids. And it looks mixed to me, so I'm ready to do the next thing, which says to stir in the sprinkles. And we're going to use a half a cup of rainbow jimmies, of rainbow sprinkles. So I'm going to go ahead and use up what's in this container before I open up my new container. And I'm using a 1/4 cup measuring, so I'll do this twice. If an extra sprinkle or two falls in, that's fine. Okay, so we've got our sprinkles added now. So I don't know if you've ever had a funfetti cake or a funfetti cupcake or a funfetti cookie, but these might be a little bit similar to those with the sprinkles added. Okay, so we've got our sprinkles stirred in, and our next step is to add in the chocolate chips and the white chocolate chips. And we're gonna add a 1/3 cup of each. So we've got our 1/3 cup and white chocolate. So we've got our chocolate chips added. We're gonna give those a stir. Our batter is really thick and there's a lot of stuff added. So it's gonna be a little bit difficult to stir. You don't want it to be super mixed. You don't want to over mix. You just want everything to be kind of stirred in. So we have our batter ready to go, and we are now going to prep. I'm prepping my mini loaf pans. You are either prepping a mini loaf pan or a 9x13 dish, whichever way you decided to go. And we do want these to be greased, so I'm just going to put a little pat of butter in each compartment to start. If you have some Pam cooking spray, that would be great here as well. And I'm going to go ahead and prep both of my mini loaf. I'm going to go ahead and do 2 mini loaf pans and prep it both. And what we're doing, why we're doing this, is so that our batter does not stick to the pan. So our pan is greased. I'm going to just do one more quick stir. I'm just going to kind of use this like a spoon and put it in the well of the mini loaf pan and press down. You want it to be even and you want to press it in. And I'm just going to fill my mini loaf pan up about halfway. So kind of the trick that I have started is I just take kind of a big heaping glob and put it in the loaf pan and then spread that around and see if there's anywhere that looks like it needs more. And this is what it looks like. And if you are using a 9x13 pan instead of the mini loaf pan, you are just going to add it all at once. It's a little bit easier to spread out that way. You don't have to worry about going spoonful by spoonful. Just pour all of your batter into the pan, and then you're going to use your spatula or your spoon to make sure that it's even in the pan. You don't want one side. You don't want it to look like a mountain or anything. You want it all to be one layer. I'm trying to be as consistent as possible, but I know I'm not being exact. So mine are going to turn out not quite exactly even, and that's okay. So here is one complete mini loaf pan of the cake batter Blondies. I'm going to set it over to the side while I wait for the oven to be ready. Our oven has preheated, so we are ready to begin cooking the first pan. While that's cooking, I'm going to work on the second one. I have, since this is a silicone mold, I've added it to a cookie sheet, and I'm going to put it in. Our recipe says 18 to 22 minutes, but again, since I'm using a different type of cooking dish, I'm going to cook it for about 15 minutes to start and see if that is good. And I'll just be checking it a little more regularly than I would if I was following exactly their instructions. So we're going to do 15 minutes. Okay, so once we have taken the Blondies out of the oven and done the toothpick test, We're going to let it chill for a little bit. Thank you so much for joining me for this month's Taste Test Kitchen at Home. I hope you really enjoyed making cake batter blondies, and these are something that you and your family and friends enjoy making together. So this is what my final cake batter blondies look like. A couple of them are maybe more golden than anticipated, but I don't think that will impact the taste. So I hope you had fun with this Taste Test Kitchen, and make sure that you're following the Faulkner County Library YouTube page, the Faulkner County Library Youth Services the Faulkner County Library Youth Services Facebook page, and the Faulkner County Library Facebook page for more programming information. Have a good day.